All right, guys, we're
Stop
talking
that.
about long-lasting relationships. I think I'm going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to talk not only about just building the relationships with your current realtors, but we're going to talk about acquisition a little bit too. One of the things that I've noticed lately is in my own thing too. I mean, Jim Reed was my coach. I think it seems like it's been about 10 semesters in a row. God love him. But it's been, I think, 2 semesters in a row, and then I had one semester in between, and then I had him before that too. So he said something to me at the end of the semester. Um, he and I have become pretty good friends. So he said something to me that stuck with me. He said, and it was simple. It's simple and easy, but he said, "You need to acquire 10 new realtor relationships at the beginning of this year." And I was like, looking at my business, and I don't know about you guys, but I've been at Summit since 2016. I'll tell my story a little bit. I came from a small broker. I worked at Chase prior to that. The most loans I'd ever done in one year, I think, was around 35 or something like that. That was the most loans I'd ever done before I came to Summit. I did 33 the year before I came to Summit. I know that. And in my first year at Summit, I think I did my first full year at Summit, I did 74 loans, which was a huge jump, especially in income from working at a bank, having a base salary. And I think I made, this may sound funny to you guys if you've never worked at a bank, this is going to sound unreal to you. But when I did a refinance at Chase Bank, that was a Chase to Chase refinance. So if they were a current client of ours, my basis points were 20 basis points. I made 20 basis points on a Chase to Chase refi. And on a non-Chase to Chase refi, I think it jumped up to 45 or 50. And then purchase loans, they wanted more purchase loans so they could keep acquiring servicing. They paid us, I think the highest you could get if you hit the very top tier, the was 65 basis points or 68 basis points or something like that. It was kind of a weird tiered system. You could get bonus. You got an increase in bips if you had higher. You would think client scores, but it wasn't client scores. It was like your file. When you turned your file in, they ran it through this little audit thing. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but you had to check all 5 boxes of their audit. So your income assets. I don't remember what it was. The timeline income assets. And if you had a higher than 90% score on your file turn-ins, that would give you a few, like 2 to 3 basis point bonus. So it was like 65 for purchase plus a 3 bips bonus if you did all that. So anyways, wonderful, wonderful. But I came to a broker after that, small bank, and then I came to Summit in March of 2016. So I guess I'm coming up on 9 years, huh? Is it 8 years? No, 9 years. 9 years. 9 years in a couple months here, which is really cool. And when I came to Summit, like I said, I closed 33 loans. I went 74, and the most I ever closed pre-COVID was 110 loans. In 2019, I closed 110 loans, and then COVID was unreal. You guys don't need to know those numbers because it's not even something to talk about. And then yeah, I've made Leaders Club every single year since then. This year I barely made it. I hit 85 units on the dot and 25.5 million. So 25 million is the mark, or 85 units, and I barely cleared both. So um but talking about long-lasting relationships. So one of the things that I noticed this last year, I don't know if you guys have noticed over the last 2.5 years, but it's been hard. You guys notice that? No, no one's noticed that. John, I don't want to see that. You just got in, so you don't even know what hard is. You don't know how easy it was, I should say. It's been hard. It's been difficult. For sure. What happened? We grinded for a long time, and then it got easy. If you've been in the business for more than 5 years, it got easy there for a while, and it got so easy that we forgot how hard it was to grind. And then, I mean, I said this to my assistant's been with me for 9 months, so she's never seen the crazy. But I was like, in 2020 and 2021, I would come into the office at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I would be here probably 3 to 4 nights a week. I was here till 9 p.m. And all I was doing during those hours was I might make a few phone calls in the morning, go to lunch with a realtor, but not even during COVID we weren't doing that. But I was literally pre-approving borrowers, running more refi scenarios than any person would care to ever run, and then disclosing loans. And I would disclose. I mean, you would between like I was generating like there was maybe a year and a half, 2 year, almost a year, and we'll call it a year and a half, where I generated 120 leads a month or more. And to be able to service 120 leads that are most, like, I would say 80% of them were refi leads. We never went over, we were never more than 45% refi and closings. I always had at least 55% was the most or the least amount of purchase loans compared to refi loans that we did. But I had a ton of a ton of refi leads that we were trying to get back to. But it was literally just living in the office, but I never, that's all it was. It was raining loans. So you kind of forgot how it was to go out and acquire realtor relationships. So then 2022 happens. In July, we hit what, 6% or 5.5% or whatever it was at that time. And all of a sudden, all the refis shut off, everything shuts off, and you're just looking at purchase loans. But you've got this pipeline of people that you've maintained and all that, so it carries you through. And then for me, that I did a little bit in 2023, but it carried me through all the way to 323. And then I realized at the end of 2023, oh crap, I got to really get going here. And I started really going in about December of 2023, reacquiring relationships. And I worked way harder in 2024 to acquire and keep and deepen relationships than I did in 2023, but I closed 5 million less, something like that, close to 5 million less in volume. And so you burn out a little bit because you're working harder than you've worked in the past, and you're not seeing the results, right? So one of the things though that I realized is you can't, like, they say who here has read the book Who Moved My Cheese? That's a great little parable. You guys should all pick it up. It's like a 3 hour read. It's a great read. It's like a, I don't know, it can't be more than like 80 pages. It's a great book. It's a parable. I'll kind of shorten it up for you. I don't want to ruin the book for you, but essentially it's about mice. They go through this maze, they find this cheese, and they go and they say the same day the cheese is in the same place every day, and they personify these mice, of course, and then one day the cheese moves to a different place, and it just goes through the journey of the different mice, and some of the mice going to the same exact spot over and over and over and over and dying. Like, they just never adapted. They never decided that they wanted to go look for the other cheese, like keep looking around, right? And we in our businesses do that. I don't know about you, but myself, I had a really good core group of about 10 realtors that sent me so much business in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22 even, that, like, I was like, I don't need to acquire relationships anymore. This is great. I can close the amount of loans I want to close and work the amount of hours I want to work with these people. So I'm going to double down on them. And so I doubled down on them, and we became super tight, which is great to a certain extent. However, 2024 was hard for them. It was really hard for them. I went through my at the end of this year, going through numbers with all of my realtors, and my number one and two realtors sent me. I had one realtor send me 5 deals last year. Two realtors sent me 4 deals. That's crazy. That is crazy. I mean, it's not horrible. I've done a bunch of you guys. I've done some 6 months goal sheets with some students. So some of you guys have gone through this with me, and some people don't have any realtors that have sent them more than 4 deals. But the fact that I went from, at certain points, these same realtors, these top 3 realtors, have all 3 sent me 10 plus deals in a year. Right. So between 3 realtors, I had gotten more than 30 loans closed. The most I'd ever did with one realtor in one year was I did 15 or 16, I think, with a gal. And she's still one of my top realtors, but it was a different year last year. So what I realized is I have to expand, right? So we're doing multiple things. One of them, and I'll write this down. Um, write this down. 500 realtors, 500 list of realtors, market our monthly mastermind to them. So whether it's MMI, I don't recommend MMI because it's really, really hard to get a list of an exportable list. I used MTA Go. So look into that, talk to marketing or whomever to see how you can get access to that, or My MTAi Go, I think. Anyways, to find the realtors in my market and then expanding markets. And we just took my county and the expanded counties in Washington until I got to my 500 list. And I think I ended up getting closer to 600 out of the counties. Just it ended up that way. But every single month they get emails about our monthly mastermind. So they're getting dripped on. They may have never even heard of me ever, but they're getting an email from me that's marketing our monthly mastermind. And so far, I've been doing it for I think 2 months. I've had 3 realtors jump on calls, or maybe one of them, maybe they all didn't jump on. Some of them might have just signed up and then not jumped on, but at least signed up for the monthly mastermind. That the realtors, I have never heard of them before. I have no clue who they are. I've never heard of them. I've never seen them. Never, no relationship with them at all. But they're consuming our content here at Summit Funding. So do that first. 500 list, market to all of them. It's a wider net this year. In order to be successful, you're going to have to get a wider net. I don't know how many of my students I've talked to that said, yeah, last year was my worst year. It's weird. All my realtor partners just had their worst year. It's like, yeah, well, everyone had their worst year last year. You know what I mean? Except for new people who just got into the business in the last couple of years. If you've been in the business prior to 2020, last year was probably one of your worst years. Um, so you need a wider net. You need to expand your database. How I've done that, and so on top of the 500 realtors, is you guys write this down as well. Have a 20 realtor list that you're chasing at all times. So not 20 realtors you're working with, but 20 realtors you're chasing. So how I started that was I picked realtors that I already had some sort of relationship with, right? So either a realtor maybe I used to work with that I don't work with anymore, but we still like each other. Maybe we never had a falling out or anything like that. Maybe the relationship just faded, right? Realtors that I've worked with, listing agents that I've worked with that I liked, that I clicked with, that I just didn't close. So, you guys all, I'm sure you all have those ones. You did your Tuesday updates, everything went good. You tried to set your follow-up appointment. This specific realtor I'm thinking of, her name's, anyways, it doesn't matter. I have booked a lunch appointment with her 3 different times, and she's canceled on me all 3 times. Today, at 12:30 we were supposed to meet, and she texted me this morning that she couldn't meet because she had a photographer and she has a meeting tomorrow, so she can't meet the photographer at the listing. So she's got to go out to the house now and drop a key off and put it under the mat so the photographer can take pictures tomorrow. So thankfully she rescheduled to Monday, and I think we're on for Monday. But if she bails on me Monday, it'll be the 4th time she's bailed on me for lunch. But anyhow, all that to say, I like her. I mean, I've been around her enough. I've done a handful of, like, I think I've done 2 when she was a listing agent, 1 when she was a buyer's agent. And so I know I like her. She already trusts me. And I think I could actually provide a lot of value to her. She's a fairly new, couple years in the industry. I could provide value in teaching her how to manage her time properly, probably, and how to maybe get some more leads to where she can hire an assistant or something like that. In fact, all of my top agents, the ones that I'm talking about that send me 4 and 5 deals, they all have assistants, and they didn't have assistants when they started working with me. So I'm not saying I'm the reason for that, but I'm saying that we grew together in a way that both of our businesses grew to where we could hire a team. So they do like to reschedule a lot. I want to read your comments here. Is there anything in this comment that I need to respond to? No, not so far. I feel like they think we are. Yes, we are very forgiving, because we're also a little bit, I don't want to say desperate's not the right word. Thirsty, maybe. We're a little thirsty for their business. So we're like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, we'll reschedule. Anyhow, I asked one of my top realtors, why me? Why do you use me? How did it work? And he said the biggest things were events. I invited him to all my events. He's a social person, so he liked to come. I came to his events. So when his office was having client appreciation parties, I would show up at his office, eat tacos, whatever it was. So being present and being and both inviting him to my stuff and coming to his stuff. So this specific realtor, Larry, he man, I didn't really know him from Adam. He worked at an office where I worked with their broker. I worked with their big dog in their office, and kind of off and on, it always felt like I was chasing him, and I never really landed him. But he'd send me stuff now and then he kind of, you know what I mean. But Larry, I met him through that office, and now Larry, I mean, if you guys have come to one of the last 2 sales events. He's there. He's the giant man. He looks like the mountain when he's by me. I'm 6'4", 240, and he's 6'5", more than 240. He's a big, large American. But he, how I landed him was I came to all of his office events. I invited him to all my events, and then he said, obviously, the second most important thing is execution, right? You can go land all these people and they can like you and they can know you. But if you screw up over and over again, I'm not saying that I haven't ever screwed up on any of the loans I've done for him, but if you're not good at doing loans on time, great communication, exceeding expectations, you're not going to keep the relationship. Like, I feel like that is a minimum expectation. You guys all agree? It's the wow service. It's the Tuesday updates, calling them every Tuesday. It's the calling them when an appraisal comes in. It's closing early. Our ops team loves to be like, "Well, your close date's not till the 30th. Why are you pushing so hard to get clear to close?" I'm like, "So we can get more business." Because if our close date's on the 30th and on the 15th we tell them we're clear to close, docs are going to go out tomorrow, on the 16th you want to close early, the realtor goes, "Holy crap, okay, yeah, sure," or I'll ask myself, and sometimes they don't want to. Sometimes you do just sit there clear to close, maybe with docs out for 2 weeks or a week and a half. But everyone in the transaction, buyers agents and listing agents and clients, are wowed when you're ahead of the game. When you beat expectations for timeline. I'm not saying it's the most important, because it's not always the most important, and some people struggle with that. Some loan officers. I mean, I work in the Eugene branch. We have the most loan officers, and so I see a lot of people pushing for no reason and unrealistic with their expectations. But that said, exceeding expectation does win business. It wins relationships. So execution. And number three, he said the biggest reason why he uses me is we're friends. So of my top agents, I have three or four now that are like really close friends. I mean, I have more than that. I have probably five or six that are really close friends. But Larry specifically, another one. She's on this call, so I just saw her comment earlier. So she's on this call with us. But her name's Leslie. Like, I go to Washington games with University of Washington. Go Dogs. That's what the W in the back is, right back there. By the way, go Dogs. But I go to football games with her. I go to um we do life together. I mean, I'm friends with her husband. I go golfing with her husband. Not even her. I go golfing with her sometimes. Like, we're real life friends, right? Larry, I went to the national championship down in Houston when UW unfortunately lost to Michigan last year. But we go on trips together. We share a room when we go to the loan officer retreat, because I'm friends with him. I want him. I want to be around him. I want him around me. And I know it's not easy to develop that, but like I said, acquiring is calling, going to events, doing a great job on your loans, and then converting that into a relationship and converting that into real friendship. And I'm in a really small market, guys. I think almost probably everybody on this call has a bigger market than me. I mean, I have in my county, which is about 70 miles long, Packwood to PL, maybe even more than that. Maybe it's longer than that. But anyways, it's pretty wide, not a huge county and area, but long. I have 80,000 people in my whole county. Most everyone on this call has more than 80,000 people in their city that they're in. So what else? When I'm saying this to you, it's easier for you than it is for me. Pick realtors that you actually like. I'm lucky that I have found my niche with realtors that I really actually enjoy being friends with. But I don't have very many more. There's not that, I don't have 100 really good producers in my market. I have maybe 25 really good producers. So my availability is pretty narrow as far as who does enough business for me to really pursue them. B, who is willing to make a switch, who is even available, right? Not some people are really tight with their lender, and you're just not going to get them. Some of them are married to their lender, right? So that's just how it goes. Number three, who do I click with, right? On a personal level. because I think that's really, really important. I mean, how many of you guys have pursued a realtor, maybe even gotten business from them, and after one or two transactions, you realize you're just not a good fit, or they're not a good fit for you? Cleo, you've been doing this a long time. How many realtors have you, man, their numbers look great. You're like, I'm going to go after them, and we're going to make this work. And then you start working with them in a transaction, and no matter how many times you tell them that they trust you, and you over communicate, you do, like, I have a gal that I would do Tuesday updates, all that stuff, and she would text me 15 text messages at 9 p.m. at night. Do you have any stories like that, Cleo?
Yeah, it happens. And it's the chug test. If you can't chug a beer with them, have dinner with them, it's probably not going to work out.
I like that. I've never heard the chug test before. That's a good litmus test though. If you, yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is, and that's what I'm saying too. So it's a really important factor. If you want to do long-term business with this person, you got to be able to. You have to enjoy them. If you don't enjoy them, if they call you and if your phone's ringing with their name on it and you go, "God, what do they want?" That's probably not someone you should keep pursuing, right? So in your bigger markets, I feel like you guys have it a little bit easier. Obviously, the competition's higher, so you have different difficulties because you have more loan officers than I do in your markets. But you also have more people to pick from. So I feel like it's like the dating pool is bigger, if that makes sense. Um, so friendship being the last one. So I talked about the 500 realtor list. Let's go into also top 40 realtor list. So are you guys, who all here has a top 40 realtor list? Top 40 realtor list. So I'm going to explain that real quick for people who don't have it or don't know what it is. So anybody new to the company, top 40 realtor list that's the realtors that you're currently working with, right? So that's your realtors that you've done transactions with, that you like, they sent you in the past. And it's usually the goal is to have at least 20 that you're currently working with, whether it's like big realtors that send you 3 or 4 or 5 deals a year, and then some of the ones that only send you one deal and maybe split with you and another lender or whatever, right? They're in your top 20. And then you should have probably at least 20 in that second half that you're always chasing, right? And those can be realtors that I'm muting you, Cleo. Those can be realtors that you like. For me, a lot of those realtors are broker owners, people that I like, that trust me, that call me to do like I just got a call from one of our agents that wants me to teach at her monthly meeting. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Monthly meeting, right? Their office meeting. And I like her a lot. She likes me. We're friends. We just don't really do a lot. We don't do business together. I mean, it's not that we don't do business together. Every once in a while, we run into deals where I have a buyer that knows her, and we connect, and they are using her, and she's a great realtor. She's one of our top producers in our market, and she's awesome. But she's in my top 40 realtor list, and I call her every other Monday because I want to develop that relationship with her. I want to make her in that top 20, right? So that can be your broker owners, that can be listing agents that you've done deals with, that you clicked with, that you're trying to land. That can be random agents that you looked up on MMI that did a bunch of business and you're targeting them. That can be newer agents maybe that don't have the history of the business yet, but you can see potential in them. You guys all know the ones I'm talking about, the ones who've started a year ago. Maybe they only closed 7 deals last year, but they're hustlers, and you can see that, hey, in like the next 3 years, they're going to blow up. They're going to do business, right? It's just a matter of time. So put those ones in there. In people of influence. So if you have a designated broker, maybe they don't do a lot of business, but maybe they are the ones that mentor all the new realtors in their office, right? You might leverage that person and say, hey, call them and build a relationship to where every time they bring a new realtor in, they set up a meeting with you so you can go over lending stuff, so they can give them the lending 101 package. That's your bottom 40. So you should be calling on your top 40. You should be calling, I think, 20 a week. We used to say 40 a week, but I say call 20 a week, and you're hitting them every other week. Now, hear me when I say this. My top agents, my top 10 or 5 agents that I work with on a regular basis, they hear from me more than once a week. So Monday realtor calls are fine. That's great. But like I'm either in a transaction or we're going to lunch or I'm popping by their office or, I've got a gift for them or whatever the thing is. So I talk to those agents at least once a week. But that's not necessarily someone I'm pursuing to build I'm building relationship with them. Obviously, I'm in relationship with them, but that's not somebody that I'm trying to acquire, if that makes sense. Somebody that I'm trying to acquire, I think once every other week is plenty of phone calls. I think like how many like when I get called by a recruiter, a mortgage recruiter, and they call me over and over and over again, it bugs me because they it's funny how they work. They literally think that calling you or messaging you on LinkedIn or sending you a text is going to potentially get you to move to their company. And I don't know about you guys, but like if I got really mad at Summit Funding or whatever and I decided I want to leave, I'm sure I'm still not going to I'm not going to go to Fairway Mortgage because the guy, sent me a text message and said Happy New Year's. Please consider me if you're ever considering a career change or something or a move. So that's what calling somebody every week and just saying, "Hey, how's it going? How was your weekend?" That's what that sounds like to me, or that's what that seems like to me. So that's why I don't like to call every single realtor every single week, right? Um, it's 11:30. Does anybody have any questions? Actually don't put questions in the chat. Raise your hand or do the little hand raise thing on the top. Oh, and unmute yourself. Richie, you're not muted. Do you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, what offers have you found have gotten you attention to start that relationship to get them interested to talk to you?
So you're talking about like a value proposition?
Yeah, whether that's open house offer or whatever.
I talk about, you know what, if I'm trying to land a new realtor, and how long have you been in the business?
About 3 years.
Okay, so it's a little harder. I'm to the point now where I can land an appointment without having to sell on the phone. I can call people, they know who I am, to where I don't have to. If I was landing like, let's say I'm calling a realtor from Tacoma, which is north of me, that no one knows who I am, right? So if I was calling a random realtor up there to land them, the thing that I would talk about on the phone is I would ask for 15 minutes and I would say, I'd love to learn more about your business and find ways that I can help you grow your business. And so if they asked what it was, like, because that's a lot of times, well, what are you talking about? Well, listen, I mean, for my top realtors, Richie, I've been able to generate 4 referrals back to them so that they could make another $25,000 in commission last year. I did that for 3 agents last year, right? And then their ears perk up and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we can talk about that. So then you just ask them for coffee and you 2-step close them. So 2-step close is in.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, no matter what your offer is, you could talk about how I can generate you a bunch of buyers in your open house, how I can make you another $30,000 a year, how I can show you how to get it all done in 40 hours a week. There's tons of offers that you can pitch. But when you get it face-to-face meeting, I have found, I don't think I've ever had somebody ask me what about the offer once I'm face-to-face with them.
Yep. Huh.
At that point, it's more, I've got my list of questions in my brain. How long have you been in the business, man? What got you into real estate? Find out what makes them tick. What's your favorite thing? What's your favorite part about your job? And then you ask, how many families did you help last year? Oh, great, that's awesome. Then you go through your whole spiel of qualifying them, and then from that point, it's asking questions about pain points. What's your favorite thing about your lender? What if you could change one thing about a lender, or pick one thing that if you created your own perfect lender, if you were God and you created a human that was your perfect lender, what would that look like? And write down write down, and then you got to leave a cliffhanger. Listen, this was such a good meeting. I want to, I want to honor your time. I told you 15 minutes. So I have some ideas, but give me a couple of days to research. I think there's ways that I can enhance your business by fulfilling some of the things that you talked about. When is good to meet up again? Let me look at my calendar real quick. Can you go Friday? You know, it's Tuesday or today's Thursday. Can you go Monday can we meet for another 15 minutes on Monday over coffee? And I will say, if you build a really good rapport, if you honor their time, and if you ask really intentional questions and poke your finger in the pain by doing, like, ask about their lender, and you go, and then when they say something negative, you go, oh, that's interesting. Something that they realize, oh, I don't have it as good as I think I do, or whatever the thing is, you will almost always land that second appointment. In fact, I don't think I've ever had somebody say, no, thank you. I've had people not show up to the second appointment or cancel the second appointment or things like that, which just means I didn't build enough rapport. I didn't leave a carrot out there for them big enough that they came back.
Got it. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Can't be no questions. Can't be just one question. Go ahead, Cleo, go ahead.
Hey, so let's say, you've lost a handful over the past couple of years, agents. What's your
Asking for a
strategy?
friend.
Huh?
Asking for a friend. Yeah.
They're just gonna be on the call. What have you done that's worked to get them back in the fold with you?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I specifically worked with a team, a small team, two ladies. They were wonderful. I screwed up a deal bad. It was my fault. It was a tough deal. I want to say it was like a rehab loan or something like that. I think it was a rehab loan. Anyways, it was so long ago. It was 2000. I remember this. It was either 2016 or 17 because I was in my old office and I've been here since July of 2017. So it was that long ago, right? But I screwed up a deal. I kind of waited too long to address things. Got too far behind. It was a HUD deal. So HUD, has very specific timelines on their sales, and we ended up having to cancel the contract. And the deal didn't get done, and I screwed up. I'll never forget that. And it took me a while to I wouldn't say it took me over the last handful of years like like your friend's situation, but in my situation, I think it was probably about 4 months later or 5 months later. It had just been weighing on me a little bit, and I just decided I don't care if I earn their business back. I need to apologize to them and say I'm sorry and let them know I fixed the problem. And part of the problem was I didn't have a team at that time, and I was too busy for I was really busy for a solo loan officer, right? And I know a lot of you guys are in that same spot right now, but and it was a hard deal and I didn't prioritize it. So I just told them that. I said, "Hey, can I grab lunch with you guys?" And thankfully they were gracious enough to be like, "Yeah, let's grab lunch." So I went to lunch with them, and I fell on the sword. We do this thing called rise groups. If anybody's interested in ever, I don't know, I'm not supposed to, I don't think I'm supposed to advertise it, but we do a thing called rise group, which is a Bible study here at Summit. And if you're welcome to ask me about it after this call. But this morning we were talking about the basically accountability and how to ask for forgiveness. And one of the things is like admit fault, accept the consequences, change behavior, all that stuff. And that's what you have to do. You have to completely fall on the sword. You have to, if you haven't watched 8 Mile, you should watch 8 Mile. But you have to say every negative thing that they could potentially say ahead of time, to where all that's left to say for them is, "I forgive you." And then from there, and it has to be from a place of not trying to earn their business back, from a place of genuine, earnest apology. And then once you cross that threshold, then you can ask for their business back. I wouldn't do it in the same meeting. I would do an apology meeting, and then I would wait, and then I would call them and I would set up another meeting. And I would do that with every individual agent that you feel like you've fallen out with. If you didn't do anything wrong, if you just fell out because of relationship, it would look something more like, "Hey, Cleo, it's Jacek. How's it going, man?" And you're like, "Good, good. Hey, man, I know it's been forever. I've been crappy. I've been a crappy loan officer and I haven't called you. I haven't for a while. I wasn't accountable. I got out of coaching, and I'm not blaming that either, but I screwed up, and I wasn't, I wasn't a good student. I wasn't a great loan officer. I kind of got full of myself, and I'm not saying this is you, by the way. I'm saying what I would say if whatever the reason is of why I didn't call them. But I just got, really, really distracted, and I didn't make the correct things a priority, and so I'm calling to apologize, and I'm hoping that I can land an appointment with you, and you'll give me another shot. Does that sound good? Would that be okay, Cleo?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I landed you. I don't know if you noticed that. Anybody else got a question? I got a hand up. Dean Mellon.
Yeah, if I can figure out this Teams, it's kind of getting wacky on me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, I have a question for you, and it relates to my situation is such that I've been in the business a long, long time. Okay, and my realtor database, call it, coming up on 3 decades in a few years. Okay, so that being said, a lot of my realtors deceased, nursing homes, retired, grandkids,
Not
etc.
laughing. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I actually shared this with Jim Reed in out in Dallas, and so my question is this, just giving it some context in the background, is that if I'm going to go and create a 40 realtor list, is there some type of data system where you can search by some type of criteria, variable, call it zip codes, call it counties. Counties are a little tough, because they can be huge. Is there some type of way that you can find which realtors that you can create a 40 agent? Obviously you're going to start bigger, and then you're going to figure out, how to hone that up and tighten it up and etc. Do you know of anywhere? Because I feel like they mentioned something, the acronym's probably totally butchered at this point, but in Dallas, they said something like MME or something like that. I could go back to my notes. And
It's
it was
MMI.
MMI. Okay. I don't know what that is. I just signed up for coaching, so I'm, very happy about that here in January. What is MMI, and where do we start that or find out about it?
Great timing, because you have received 2 emails now from marketing. You
Okay.
should have received, if you haven't, email Trey.
Okay.
But we have third-party marketing elections coming up, and they're due tomorrow, end of day. You have to elect to do them, and it costs money to do MMI. But if you look last night at 3:20, yesterday afternoon, 3:20 Pacific Standard Time, Trey sent out an email called Sales Update, frequently asked questions for third-party marketing tool payroll deduction system. So if you click on that, you click on the third-party tool tech form, and there's options there for HomeBot, MBS Highway Mortgage Coach, BombBomb, MMI, and Link. So MMI is a way that you can search zip codes and look and see who the top producers are in those markets.
Awesome. I'm glad I asked the question, because I have worked in some of those systems before, the MBS, Mortgage Ready, blah, blah, blah. What I don't want to do is try to, do too many things at the same time and not do any of them effectively, because that can be problematic when you get so many options.
I use MMI all the time. It's not a great, I will say, going back to my 500 realtor list deal, it's not great for that because it doesn't export well. And so if you want to create a 500 realtor list and put it into Jungo so you can market these people, MMI is not the right tool for that, because it doesn't export well into like another system. But MMI is great for you call an agent to schedule an appointment, and you can look them up and look at their production before you meet with them. And it's not 100% accurate. I found it to be 85% accurate. You know what I mean? It's not always up to date, but it's close enough. Yeah.
So that sounds great. So I'm kind of thinking out loud. So I might be able to use that in conjunction with potentially paying for, on my own, a virtual assistant, which if they're just working in CRM, that's not proprietary information, because quite frankly, it's public information if you're using MMI, right?
Well, our CRM would have proprietary information. It has all of our borrower information in it.
Oh, no. Oh, I got you. I'm thinking out loud where they could provide me the names by searching on MMI. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they could. Oh, Heather Krivling says homes.com has realtor numbers for free.
Oh, cool.
MMI
Okay.
is $80 a month. I will say that on our little
Okay.
deal here. But you could
One
also
right up,
use
one
it for
up.
one. You could use it for 1 quarter and pay, whatever that is, $300, and then you can shut it off next quarter. So if you wanted to use
Got
it
it.
to establish your 40 realtor list.
No, that was awesome. Okay, I feel like I've got 2 great answers to the question, yours and then whoever popped up on Teams. So I appreciate that.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
no problem. Vanessa, what do you got?
Speaking of tech tools, what are your favorites in your realtor
What are
pursuits?
my favorites? I'm kind of a grandpa when it comes to tech, to be honest with you. I don't really use anything. I mean, I guess MMI. I use MMI. I use MBS Highway. Um, and I don't really even utilize, I don't utilize MBS Highway. I don't use their video system. Sometimes I'll take their scripts and make my own videos, or take some of their information. I use HomeBot, but I don't leverage it that much. It's just HomeBot is a good way to pay to drip on your clients. But I'm honestly thinking about canceling it because I don't know if it's worth $175 a month. It was a great way, especially during COVID, to let people know that their home was worth a lot and they could refi and save a lot of money. But I think it might have served its purpose at this point, and I might cancel it. I don't know. My biggest tech tool I use is the QP6 or QP7 qualifier plus 7 mortgage calculator. That's the one I use absolutely the most of everything. It's this calculator right here, but on an app. And you can break down amortization and stuff like that. Someone arguing with me? Keep HomeBot, John King. Okay, so John King says keep HomeBot. I didn't say to cancel it, John, to be clear. I just said I don't know it enough. She asked me about tech tools. Okay. I said I was considering canceling it. I didn't tell everyone else to. John, why don't you jump on and ask me a question instead of ghost chatting me?
What was that calculator you just shared? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, it's a mortgage calculator. It's called the QP little x calc. So it's the same as the Real Estate Master 333 or 11IIIX, but it's just an app. And the great thing is you can actually break down amortization in this where you can't do that on the regular calculator. So you can see a full amortization schedule for someone. You can show them how paying extra per month, how that affects their principal balance and all that stuff. Yeah, it's great. Sorry, Vanessa, I'm not the tech person. John King will teach one of these days. The guy that's commenting, he's the tech king. He's the Jungo master. He's the everything. I use MBS Highway, MMI, and HomeBot because I can put it on auto. I can put it on auto. Go ahead, Cleo.
Hey, so do you do any kind of video marketing to agents to follow up with? Any bomb?
Yeah, I do bomb. I do bomb, and I'm one of my goals this year is to get more consistent and do weekly. My biggest video thing is I do social media, and if you guys follow me on the Gillispie team on Instagram or Jacek Gillispie at Summit Funding on Facebook, you'll see all my videos. I do 2 videos a week. I do a Monday Mortgage Minute that goes out to anybody who follows me. And it's usually anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, and I just answer a question. So we oftentimes will ask clients to put a bunch of questions, message us questions, and we'll answer them. Or sometimes we Google the top most asked questions about mortgage, about buying a house. And so I'll just say, hi, this is Jacek Gillispie from Summit Funding. This is your mortgage minute for today. Today's question is, what is an escrow account? And I'll tell people what an escrow account is. So that's what I do mostly. And then on Fridays, I do. Not everyone thinks this is funny, but I do trending audio. So I have a third party that helps me find trending audio videos. So you guys have heard the from I Think You Should Leave, which is the guy that says, "You sure about that?" I don't know if you've seen that one on the interwebs, but I do videos where I just mouth whatever, you know what I mean? I'm pretending like I'm the person, but I'm not the person. Anyways, you can see it on Instagram. Go to Instagram, you'll see my funny videos as well. But I do that on Friday. So my marketing calendar or my marketing schedule goes Monday Mortgage Minute, Tuesday testimonial, Wednesday signing. I try to get a signing on Wednesday. Thursday fun day. So we'll post a picture. Like today, we posted they posted a picture of my family on Christmas. So something uplifting or whatever, right? It was a picture of us in front of a Christmas tree and said, kind of late, but Merry Christmas to everybody. I think I did a Christmas video, but it was kind of like my family Christmas picture. And then tomorrow they'll do a funny video, something to make people laugh. I get a ton, 10x more engagement on my funny videos than I do on my actual content that I take time to think about. It's 11:47. Any other questions? Come on, someone asked me a question. I was trying to make it to 11:50. Daniel, you're my student. You have to ask me a question. Unmute yourself and think of something real quick.
All right, on the spot. With the ones that you do like, how do you keep them and maintain them? Like the ones you currently have, right?
So it's how do you so
once you get them, like how do you, I guess, keep them? Obviously you said,
yeah,
invite them to events, execution, become friends with them, but like
do life with them. Do life with them, brother.
do life with them.
Do life. Invite them over for dinner at your house now and then. Think about them. Think about their anniversary. Go to their wedding. Leslie, I don't know if she's still on this call. I went to her wedding last year. Be with them. I don't know. Be friends with them. I don't know how else to, you know what I mean? Just do life with them. Stuff. Yeah. I like that, Julie. Invite them to go to their kids' birthday parties. Invite them to your kids' birthday parties. Buy them birthday gifts. Go to football games with them. Find things they like and learn how to love them. You know what I mean? I'm really grateful that like most of my top people, if it's, whether it's through Husky football, whether it's through golfing on a golf course, whether it's through a nice glass of wine, whether it's through, sports, hunting, I hunt and I fish. We have a real personal connection because we like the same things, right? And that's where it goes back to when you're picking the realtors you want to work with long term. Try to pick ones that you actually like. Try to pick ones that you can be friends with, because I've had them in the past where it was strictly a business relationship and it fizzles out just because it's kind of inauthentic, if that makes sense. Like, and there's a place for some, like a certain level, that level 2, level 3 friendships. But if they annoy you, you're not going to do business with them long term. So yeah, cool. Any other questions? Please ask two more questions. I need 2 more questions. I don't want to call on people.
I have a quick question.
Yeah. I don't know who this is.
Heather.
Oh, hey.
Hey, I making my 40 phone calls on Monday. And I put a couple new people in there that I'm chasing. One heavy hitter, and she answered the phone and she was just cold, almost like it was a spam phone call. She couldn't get me off the call soon enough. She told me she was busy, she's happy, and just trying to get rid of me. How would you handle my call next Monday to her?
Well, I would give her a week off. I wouldn't call her both weeks. And in between, if someone did that and I felt it, first of all, have some pride. You're a big producer. Don't let someone be a dick to you and just whatever, right? And I'm not saying don't push through that, because you have to at sometimes. Decide if you want to work with them, right? But if you do, I would go to her office and do a pop by, and I would bring her something of value. And I would maybe it's something goofy. Maybe it's a pair of socks, and you say I'd love to knock your socks off. Or maybe you don't even go that far. Maybe you don't even try to close for that. Maybe it's find something she likes, find a sports team or something that she's interested in, and bring her a gift. Something not crazy expensive, right? But something $25-ish that you can drop off. Does she have a team?
Yes, she does.
Have you talked to her TC or whoever her person is?
Nope, I haven't taken that step yet.
So I have this guy, he is a big producer up in Olympia, which is north of me, and I called him for I don't know how long, and I think he accidentally answered my phone one time, like he didn't answer, and then he accidentally answered one time. And he's not a dick, so he was like, "Oh yeah, hey, what's going on, man? I got your voicemails." Like, "Yeah, cool, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really happy with my guy, da 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 da." And I said, "Listen, do you have a transaction coordinator?" He gave me your name and number. I called her and I just went after her, and I got a meeting. I got a coffee meeting with him and his whole team. It was him, his transaction coordinator, and two buyers agents that worked with him at Keller Williams. And it went well. The meeting went well. The follow up on my part wasn't great. I think I could have landed it, but I think it would have taken another 5 weeks of phone calls and maybe another pop by or something like that to land it. But I would go for that person and try to get in their good graces, because if you get in their good graces and you find out what kind of coffee they like and you bring them coffee, they're going to start being in their ear and say, "Hey, Heather dropped by and dropped me. She gave me a white chocolate Americano. That's my favorite. You know what I mean?" Just little things like that to kind of just sweeten the pot, if you will. And then the next time you call them and they say your name, they're like, "Oh, that's that girl that gave my TC a coffee." And then they answer, and then hopefully they're a little warmer next time. But I've had people before too that are just not warm, like, cold like that. After a few times, I'm like, "Okay, listen, we're moving on. I'm not going to grovel for your business. We're not doing that thing."
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. 11:52. Rebecca, is there anything else I should talk about? Any questions in the chat I missed?
Thank you a lot. No, so yeah, I thought it was great. If you want to end a little early, yeah, it's up to you.
Well, let's keep going. If anybody has any questions, I'm good until noon. If no one has any other questions, Greg, do you have a question? You look very questionative. I just made that word up. I don't think that's a word, but Manny, do you have a question? I'm looking now. I can see some faces. I didn't see you guys all call. Now I can see you. You just popped on the camera in the last 3 minutes because you thought we were quitting. Nada? Julie, are you being quiet because of the baby? You didn't want to say anything? Okay, I'm not gonna call on you then. Melanie, what's going on your phone there? It's good. Oh, all right. Oh, Lenore, let's go. What do you got?
It would be helpful if I took myself off mute. I am struggling getting the list of 500 real estate agents. I've reached out to, I think it was either marketing or HR, whoever, to try to expand the list. Our local MLS that doesn't subscribe, we can't pull it. So you had mentioned something at the beginning of the call that you use to get that realtor list for your county. What was that?
Hey, Rebecca, can you remind me exactly what that was?
It's called My MTAi. I don't know if they do every state. But I can reach out to their sales team and ask for you if you'd like.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Man,
And then where are you at again?
Massachusetts.
Okay, got it. I will let you know.
Thank you so much.
If they do, and she does that for you, just an FYI, Rebecca's Venmo, I'll get for you guys, and I'll put in the chat when it's all done. Because she works for Jim Reed. She's his assistant, but she does do things sometimes because she's amazing. So just keep that in mind if she's going to do work for you.
Thank you.
It's at Becca-Bernard-3. Anyways, cool. Any other questions? Come on, give me one more. It's 11:55. We almost made it.
Okay, I'll ask one.
Perfect.
So the MTA, that costs money. Do we have a company account so that we don't all have to spend money to get that information?
I think it costs per user, so I don't think you can just use somebody else's. And I think MTA costs per county also. So some people might have it for their own county, but they may not have it for your county.
Okay.
I think it was Heather that said earlier in the call that Realtor.com or Homes.com, let me see what it was. She said up in the chat, Homes.com has Realtor numbers for free. So you can use that. I'm not sure if it exports, like we're looking like putting it in Jungo. The reason I went with the MTA, I could have done it through MMI, and I did do it through MMI, but it just doesn't export. There's no way to export it into an Excel spreadsheet. And in order for the marketing team to put it into Jungo, they have to have it in a format of some sort, whether it's a Word document or whatever. You can't just copy it. I mean, you can't just screenshot it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
What I used to do before any of these tools, guys, because I used to do this, I used to like creating my 40. I didn't do this for the 500, but I used to go to my top realtor and have them pull up the MLS. And I think someone said that your MLS, Lenore, maybe it was you, that they don't subscribe to MLS. That makes it a little harder, of course. You're going to have to figure out maybe have a title company help you with that list or something like that. But like my top realtor used to literally come into my computer. Don't say this, and she would like sign in on my computer, and I could do the search as a realtor and basically search by closing and all that stuff. That's how I came up with my top list before. And like on your top 40, guys, it's not too hard to manually type 40 names, phone numbers, and production. Cool. Any more questions? All right. I don't see any hands. I'm going to let you guys off 2.5 minutes early. I'm Jacek Gillispie up in Washington, jacek.gillispie@summitfunding.net. You're welcome to email me with any questions that you didn't think of while we were on the call or Teams me, and I'd be glad to reach out.